Welcome to the Community Difference Plano. Powered by the Difference Media LLC. And hosted by Nathan Smith with the Enfuego Group. And sponsored by PBJ Mortgage, Jade Galt, Jim Thomas, Business Consulting and Funding, Fireboss Realty, Diane Cassell with Castle to Castle, Traci Duff with Assisted Living Locators, Asia Mahmood with Windhaven Academy, and by Lauren Gill with My Live, Love, Travel.
The Community Difference Plano was created to serve as a platform for local leaders and business professionals to showcase their expertise, values, and commitment to their community. Overall, the podcast aims to create a stronger sense of community in North Texas by highlighting the often overlooked or unnoticed good work being done by local leaders, businesses, and professionals.
So sit back and relax as our host, co-host, and their guests share inspirational stories, experiences, thoughts and insights about being a professional, along with the opportunities for our businesses to serve our communities in very special ways. Because the Community Difference Plano starts now.
Good morning, Plano. It is 11:32 a.m. on a very, very special Wednesday morning. Welcome to the Community Difference Plano, a podcast firmly rooted at the intersection of business development and community involvement. I am your host, Nathan Smith with the Enfuego Group. We specialize in guiding your personal finances and offering tailored small business solutions. At the Enfuego Group, we're not just about financial freedom. We're passionate about empowering aspiring entrepreneurs to break free from corporate America. So I invite you to join us along our mission to ignite the fire for freedom and help you to live life on fire. But enough about me. Let's get to it today. We've got a fantastic show, very special guest, as well as we continue our topic for July, going beyond referrals, developing strategic partnerships that create new business together. So let's get right to it. We're going to talk specifically to our special guest, which I'll introduce in just a moment. But in order to do that, I need to bring in the rest of our co-host crew today. Joining us is Diane Cassell, founder of Castle to Castle. Diane empowers individuals to support nonprofits and make a positive impact. She teaches business owners purposeful networking and calls marketing to elevate their business. Living by faith, joy, and love, Diane aims to create lasting change. Welcome, Diane Cassell, to the show.
Good morning. Good morning. It's so great to be here and be seen and just discuss some fun things today with you, Nathan.
What are you most excited about?
I'm really most excited about the discussion around developing a strategic partnership that actually creates business for us in this community and draws the community and unites the community together.
Awesome. I love that. Well, your partner in crime and good friend of 20 years, I think? I don't know, a long time. I don't know how. It seems like y'all have known each other a long time, but maybe not. Let's bring in Traci Duff, a Plano resident for 30 years. She leads and coaches in Plano Special Olympics, supports various community causes. She's also the owner of Assisted Living Locators in Plano, where she provides expert guidance on senior care. Her dedication to making a difference is unwavering. Good morning, Traci.
Good morning. Happy to be here. Good morning, Diane. 20 years. I didn't know.
I didn't either.
It's like 2 years, actually, isn't it? It's not very long. But
No, it's more like we're closer to 5 years, but yeah.
We'll take 20.
it just seems like you guys have known each other your whole life. So
It does.
that's a good friendship. That's a good friendship.
Yeah.
Well, let's introduce our first guest, Dave Sweeney. Dave is a U.S. Army veteran, commander of the American Legion, Post 321 in Plano, 35 years in the telecom industry, also chairs the Plano Memorial Day Committee. The American Legion focuses on service to veterans and communities. Welcome, Dave Sweeney. Good morning, sir.
Well, good morning, and thank you for the invite to join your show. I'm looking forward to the show here today.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I know you're one of your most favorite holidays just passed, so I'm sure you may have a little 4th of July hangover. What else are you excited about this morning?
Well, it's I want to talk about the post and how I'm working with Miss Castle there on developing a relationship in our community to help our post grow and help our veterans.
Well, that's exciting. We'll be able to get more into that in our third segment. Our next guest, Jennifer Verna, financial wholesaler dedicated to economic empowerment. Over 25 years as a business consultant, Jennifer partners with mission-driven entrepreneurs for social impact. Through Credit the Cause, she turns business expenses into charitable donations. Jennifer, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, Nathan. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Good to see you again. It's been a little while since we've connected at a networking event and face-to-face. Now we're doing it kind of online, live, so that's awesome. What are you most excited about that you have going on these days?
I'm most excited about, and it's very much on topic, a strategic partnership we just formed yesterday with the Be Kinder Foundation, where we're going to have access to help 55,000 schools nationwide raise money through our platform. And I've known Diane for 4 years too, but it feels like 20.
In a good way.
Diane just has that effect on people like you've known her your whole life. So that's awesome. Well, now, guys, it's my honor to introduce our third guest. Last but certainly not least, Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, a distinguished Christian constitutional conservative, combat veteran, and former U.S. Congressman with 22-year career in the U.S. Army. Lieutenant Colonel West has received numerous honors, including the Bronze Star and multiple Meritorious Service Medals. He has served in various leadership roles, including executive of the American Constitutional Rights Union and chairman of the Republican Party of Texas. An accomplished author and dedicated public servant, Lieutenant Colonel West is also an avid runner and a proud family man. Please welcome Lieutenant Colonel Allen West.
Hey, thanks everybody for having me. Appreciate it, Nathan, and greetings to everyone.
It's a pleasure to have you here, Colonel. It's good to see that you're a runner. That's something I'm trying to get into. It's very difficult, but I guess you just kind of stayed in shape from your military career and never stopped. I guess that's a good way to
old
approach
habits
it.
die hard.
I bet so. Well, guys, we're going to take our first commercial break. When we come back, we'll figure out, we're going to dedicate our What's Up Plano segment to Colonel West, asking some questions around business development and some of the legislation that he's been a part of, but also where he sees the small business community in Texas and Plano going, some things to look out for. And so we look forward to speaking to him. Stick around. We'll be right back on the Community Difference Plano.
The Community Difference Plano is made possible by Nathan Smith with the Enfuego Group, Diane Cassell with Castle to Castle, connecting charities to fundraising solutions, Jim Thomas, business consultant and business funding expert, Tyler Clifton with J. Galt, Traci Duff with Assisted Living Locators, Asiya Mahmood with Windhaven Academy, Lauren Gill with My Live Love Travel, Scott Johnson with Fireboss Realty, and by Jacqueline Kreider with PBJ Mortgage. The Community Difference Plano. Together, we can make the difference. And now, back to the show.
Are you ready?
Because it's time for
What's Up Plano?
What's Up Plano, where we talk about all things that are going on in our beautiful city, the City of Excellence, Plano, Texas. But today, we have a very special guest, Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, and want to dedicate this time just to a number of questions, but specifically, Colonel West, if you can just talk about, because we believe and we spend a lot of time on the importance of small businesses succeed. I mean, that's why the difference exists, to figure out what is it that makes some businesses succeed and some don't. And a lot of it is most everyone has a good product or service, but there's those intangible things that we've got to learn as business owners. So if we can have an uninhibited pathway, meaning less government involvement, more ability to thrive on our own, that's obviously a really good thing. And so when you were in Congress, I believe I was looking at your bio, 30 different pieces of legislation that had to do with helping and aiding small businesses be successful. So I just want to start, don't talk about all of them, right? There's a lot, but just kind of give us a highlight of why those were important to you, what they did, why that was a point of emphasis for you in your time in Congress.
Well, I will tell you that I'm your next door neighbor over here in Garland, Texas, not too far away from Plano. And when you look at the fact that the economic engine of the United States of America, 75 to 80% of it is small businesses. And I had the distinct honor of being able to serve on the Small Business Committee when I was a member of the United States House of Representatives. It was the 112th Congress. And, it's very sad because a lot of people coming into Congress, they want to be on the budgeting committee or, ways and means committee, things of that nature. But what I learned and what I gleaned from being on the small business community is really, how does the small business need to have a government that sets the conditions for their success? Because you can sit down, you can have all the great plans that you want to have a successful business. But when you have those external factors that you really cannot weigh in upon and you cannot affect, such as, regulations, even something as the minimum wage that affects the very narrow margins for a small business, you need to have the right type of people that can advocate for you. And so I would say first and foremost, the small business community, when you look at the Small Business National Association for Small Businesses, that's your great lobby, that's your great voice, and you need to work through them because they will bring a lot of those local issues to bear. But I think we need to get more business people involved in all levels of government, especially the local level. And that means the county and the municipal level, but also the state and, of course, up at the federal government level. We need to have more people that have signed the front side of the check and not just the back side of the check that are making decisions about for businesses. And I will tell you the most recent thing that I think people need to remember is, how is it that government made a decision that they could decide who and what is essential? And that was just 4 years ago. Benjamin Franklin said, those who would surrender essential liberty for temporary security in the end will deserve neither liberty nor security. So I think it is important that we don't have a government structure that decides the winners and losers in the private sector arena, and look at how many small businesses suffered. And a lot of them went under because of the the mandates that were put out there or being told straight out that they had to close. So I think it's so important that, when you talk about strategic partnerships, that small businesses come together and they attend their city council meetings, they attend their county commission meetings, they are involved when you have the legislative session here in the state of Texas, and they pay attention to the issues. And like I said, be a part of the National Association for Small Businesses so that you can understand that voice and what they're doing to, advocate for you.
So you talked about some of the overreach a little bit with what's essential. Yeah, just having another entity determine if your business is essential or not. I'm sure with every small business owner, their business feels essential. So
Yeah.
how do you avoid? I mean, it seems like if we could collaborate more and come together, it would be really impossible for the government to overreach in the way that they did during COVID.
No.
So how do we find that unity to avoid something like that in the future?
Well, I think that that's what you're talking about when you say strategic partnerships, when you're bringing together people on platforms such as this, and people need to come together. And what I really am concerned about is how, individuals in the United States of America don't understand the freedoms and liberties that they have. I always challenge people, show me in the Constitution of the United States of America, show me in the Texas state Constitution where it says that the government can tell a small business or business owner that you have to shut down, that you have to close up. Now, on the converse of that, let's say business owners would say, we're tired of the overspending and the debt of the federal government. Maybe the federal government needs to be shut down. Then they'll all of a sudden go apoplectic over it.
Boy, you're not kidding.
Well, yeah, I mean, you see that often. And so I think it's so important that business owners understand their constitutional rights, and they have to challenge people based upon the rule of law, saying, this is not one of the enumerated powers that you have. You look at something as simple as, the government all of a sudden mandating to businesses, this minimum wage thing, this living wage thing. Well, guess what? That's really affecting a lot of these, fast food franchise owners. Who would have ever thought? I loved Red Lobster when I was growing up in Atlanta, Georgia, and now Red Lobster is bankrupt. You look at a lot of these McDonald's franchises that, in certain places like California, they've been told that the minimum wage is $20 to fry French fries. Well, guess what ends up happening? They put people out of work. because they have this very basic thing. Because of the margins, they either pay the people that, and then they push the cost, they increase the cost to the consumer, or they just get rid of the people, or they shut down. And so I think it's so important. Once again, when was the last time small business owners got the chance to decide, what should a state house representative or a congressman or a senator make, since I'm the one paying your salary? So it is a very interesting juxtaposition of power that we see here in the United States of America, where I think the businesses and individuals need to once again understand where their power comes from and who empowers, government. Because government exists. I would challenge everyone to read a very simple essay by a French economist by the name of Frederick Bastiat, written in the mid 1800s, called The Law. Government exists to protect the life, the liberty, and the property of the individual. That's it. That's their raison d'etre, their reason for existence. But we've gotten so far away from that.
Colonel West, how, when you bring up us little people and the little businesses getting involved more with legislative, more with all of that, what would be the first steps of that? What would someone like me who gets involved at her personal level, but how could the next step up? What would that be?
Well, I think you have to go out there and find those like-minded businesses or common-based businesses and start to, come together and say, look, here are some issues. Here's healthcare issues, economic issues, regulatory issues. Let's make sure that we can speak on a united voice. But again, you have to inform people about, this is what's happening in our city council. This is what's happening in our county commission. And we need to come together and we need to stand unified, because a lot of people, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. But unfortunately, business owners who are busy running their business, they, for whatever reason, don't find that time and the ability to be able to go down there to whatever hall of governance you need to and let their voices be heard. Look, I've always said that the most important elected position in the United States of America was school board, but the elected position that always has the least amount of voter turnout was what? School board. Then all of a sudden, with COVID, people started to see what was being promulgated to their students, their kids, on computers, and people start showing up at school board meetings. Guess what? That got people's attention. So, you have to be the squeaky wheel in order to get the oil.
That's so true. Lyndon, you had a question?
I do have a question. Colonel West, first of all, thank you for being on the show today. It's a privilege and honor to be able to talk to you. And one of the things that I've been saying for several years, especially since COVID, and you mentioned the essential, non-essential businesses being shut down. There's a fear that our government and our country is going more toward a socialist, communist type ruling. And I believe, honestly, that there are two things that are keeping us a free country. One is the Second Amendment, and the second is the small business owner. The small business owner is the epitome of freedom within our country.
Yes.
And if our government can shut down the small business owner and then tell us when and where we have to work, we are then a socialist country.
No, you're absolutely right. There are 5 tenets to a socialist economic model. And the very first one is wealth redistribution. And you always hear this about fair share, soaking the rich, what have you. The second one is to nationalize economic production, bring everything under government control. And the most recent example of that you saw in Venezuela when they brought the oil and gas industry under government control, something that, they'd like to see here with the Green New Deal. And also you saw that with the Patient Protection Affordable Care Act with the healthcare industry. The third thing is to create and expand a welfare state. I call it the dependency society. And you see that the more people you get wedded to government, the more they will tend to vote for the folks that give them the benefits and the largesse. The fourth thing is social egalitarianism. And that's this thing called equity, which is really equality of outcomes as opposed to equality of opportunity. That's the great thing about America. So many people have come here and decided, I have a great business idea. Think about this. All you ladies out there, you know that before the Vietnamese came to this country, you did not see nail salons. All of a sudden, these women came here to this country and they had this idea. We're going to create a business. We're going to create nail salons. And now they're promulgated all over the place. Well, think about what Barack Obama said back in 2012, when he said that if you own a business, you didn't build that. Well, that is really the most disrespectful thing that you can say to the American indomitable entrepreneurial spirit, but for whatever reason, he got a pass on doing that. And so I think you have to assert yourself. And the last thing about a socialist economic model is secular humanism. We just remembered our Independence Day. And, it's very clearly stated by way of natural rights theory that the inalienable rights of the individual are endowed to you by the Creator God, the Judeo-Christian faith heritage God, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. There's no other country that's been founded on a premise such as that. But if you try to push away the Creator as the one who is granting your inalienable rights, then who is the one granting those inalienable rights? And I think right now, you bring up a great point. That is the real crux of what we have. It's not so much about political party, but it's about a philosophy of governance and the interaction between government and the individual. The individual is sovereign. The government exists by the consent of the governed. That's what the Declaration of Independence says.
Absolutely.
So, Colonel West, I've got a question for you. Maybe it's just more of a statement, an affirmation. But, there's so much false news out there. Where do people get their news? If you get it from mainstream media, well, maybe that's the issue. If you find the truth in other publications, that's better. But really, it's all about communication. I mean, that's all you've talked about so far. And we have more similarities than we do differences, but they're trying to drive a wedge between us so that we're not united. So what, with all that false news going on and the wedge and the division in this country, what we're trying to do here at the Community Difference is to create communities that are so tight that you cannot break them. So what is it that you would do? What platform would you, Tracy got a little bit into this, what's next? Where do we go next? We do our own little thing in our community, our neighborhood, but I ask Shelby Williams this all the time. What's next? What can I do? What can I do short of running for Congress, because that will never happen. God bless you for doing it.
Don't sell yourself short, Diane.
How would you? Oh no, that's no.
Well, I will tell you.
How would you develop? I guess my question is, how would you develop a compelling proposition?
Well, I would just use
a proposition for people to actually want to come and learn the truth.
I will use my life as an example. I was born on February the 7th of 1961 in the inner city of Atlanta, Georgia, in a blacks-only hospital. I grew up in the same neighborhood as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the old Fourth Ward neighborhood. And so I'm 63 now. In 63 years, I've gone from being a kid born in a blacks-only hospital to growing up and being a lieutenant colonel in the United States Army when my father was just a corporal in World War II in a segregated army. I commanded troops in combat. I was a member of the United States House of Representatives that represented the highest per capita income zip code in the United States of America at the time. That was Palm Beach Island. Rush Limbaugh was a constituent of mine. Mar-a-Lago was in the congressional district that I represented. In 1961, when I was born, blacks could not go on Palm Beach Island. Blacks could not go at Fort Lauderdale Beach. When I was sworn in, some 50 years later, guess what? I'm the congressional representative. So I think we have to tell those stories. We have to tell the stories that, as Dr. King said, America is not about the color of your skin. It's about the content of your character. It's about liberty and freedom for the individual. It's about the entrepreneurial spirit that brings people here. And the thing that should bind us all together is that sense of liberty, that sense of freedom, that sense of your own destiny, that sense of having a quality education that enables you to grow up. And as we say, as the motto in the Army, be all that you can be, instead of, like I said, this equity thing, which is the quality of outcomes. We have to stress the quality of opportunity. Nobody in the United States of America wakes up every day and says, I want to suck. I want to be a failure. I want the government to write me. I just don't believe that. But yet when no one hears that message, guess what happens? They default to that. And so that's the real challenge that we have. And just the same as in business, I don't think people going into business say, you know what, I want to plan to fail. Now, sometimes they may fail to plan, and that's one of the critical things that you have to have. You have to have a plan. Even in instructing my daughters early on, I said, what's your 5-year plan? you have to have a 5-year plan. In business cycles, you have to have a 5 to 10-year plan. And there you have to be able to measure your effectiveness to get to that plan. But at least the thing is, you got to understand that the enemy always has a vote, that all of us veterans know, but you can at least have something to flex off of, to adjust off of. So I think those are some of the common things that we should be talking about out there in America.
Thank you.
Well, Colonel West, let's focus it a little bit locally here. First of all, congratulations. I guess you were just recently voted to the Dallas County GOP Chair.
Yes, sir.
And then have you met the Shelby Williams, who Diane referenced earlier?
Yeah, we just talked yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah.
I asked him if y'all had met before, and I don't guess you hadn't met until yesterday. So that's awesome.
No, we had met before, but I'm just saying we just had a conversation. Yesterday.
Good.
Yeah.
So he's a great guy. First of all, good friend of the show. And I asked him this, but of course, the GOP chair is not a political position in the sense of, like a city councilman per se, but there's obviously agenda for the party and things like that. And I know you guys will probably do some work together in some capacity, but just your time in here in Texas and Garland, Dallas, Plano, all the counties, what are, in your opinion, the most kind of pressing needs? You can take it from a general citizenry, but also for small businesses that we need to kind of focus our attention on, directly affecting Texans. Does that make sense?
Well, once again, I think that when you look at Shelley Luther, that's a great example. Someone who stood up and said during the COVID issue that, you don't have the right to tell me to shut my business down. And she went to jail for it. Well, guess what? She has now run for and will be a Texas State House representative from her area. So I think that's what we're looking at doing. That's what I think Diane is talking about. How can I get engaged? How can I get involved? And for me, it is not so much about myself running for a political office, but it is enabling people who have a fire in their belly and to really help them and resource them so that they can run for office and use my experiences to share with them to be able to do so. But it is about conveying a message. And again, I think the most important message that you have here in Texas, and understand the uniqueness of Texas. Texas is the only state in the United States of America that has its own Declaration of Independence, because Texas is the only state which started out as its own nation, its own republic, and fought for its own independence. And I think that, Texas has to get a little bit of that swagger back. It's so funny. When I was in Afghanistan, I spent 2.5 years there. And I remember driving in a convoy through Kandahar, Afghanistan, the birthplace, the home of the Taliban. Guess what I saw? I saw a kid with a Dallas Cowboy t-shirt. So even in Kandahar, Afghanistan, they knew who the Dallas Cowboys were. They knew that star. They knew what it represented. And so I think that we have to have people that understand that. And in the business community, as you are getting more people that are moving here from California, Illinois, New Jersey, it's important that you convey to them a little bit about that Texas history. What makes Texas unique? Where did the term "come and take it" come from? Read Travis's letter, all of those things that really talks about the spirit of Texas. Because if not, people will come here and for whatever reason, you will find yourself slowly drifting to policies that are not congruent with that spirit of Texas. And so we've got to get back to that to that basic foundation to understand. And you're seeing a lot of that happen up here in the North Texas area, where you have a lot of businesses and corporations, especially, that are moving in, and that's pushing out a lot of the small businesses, the mom and pop.
We got a couple minutes before break. I was going to ask you, what led you to move from Florida to Texas, but I think you kind of just answered it talking about the greatness of Texas. But
now remember, I went to the University of Tennessee, and there is no Texas without Tennessee volunteers. Okay, let's be very honest.
That's fair. That's fair.
But no, there's a great relationship between my birth state of Georgia, which is where the Liberty or Death flag of Texas came from. A little teenage girl from Macon, Georgia, brought here by the Georgia Volunteers. 38 Tennessee volunteers, of course, died at the Alamo. Sam Houston, the first president of the Republic of Texas. But I finished my military career at Fort Hood, Texas. And, as a good military man, you ask your wife, where you want to go in retirement. She's originally from Jamaica. She got a great offer with Raymond James. So we lived in Florida, South Florida, for 10 years. But we got the call, an opportunity to come back here to Texas, and we got back here as fast as we could.
Well, good. That's what everybody says. They either born here, they got here as fast as they could. Well, let me ask you this. Taking it back to the power of collaboration, which we're going to really go to in our next segment here. Where do you see the role of, because you think about Walmart, of course, started as a Ben Franklin 5 and dime, very small family company. It's grown into a massive corporation. Same thing with Amazon. And you don't want to demonize the corporations. They have a place, obviously, but it's also a good way to centralize power if they become co-opted by the government too much. So where do you see the balance between, we have a lot of corporations that have moved into the DFW area, Toyota and Samsung, and Elon Musk is now down in Austin, right? Where's the balance between, what small businesses can do together to kind of give a barrier, I guess, between giving too much power to those larger corporations? How does that work in your mind?
Well, it comes back to understand the regulations that are out there. A lot of small businesses are suppliers to many of these larger corporations, so they need to be able to bond together to have their voices heard. Healthcare policy, that's where small businesses should come together. One of the things I was very concerned about when you look at the Dodd-Frank and all the regulations thereof, it really affected a lot of small banks, community banks. And community banks are really that lifeblood to a lot of the small businesses. And community banks can't keep up with a lot of those regulations. I'll tell a quick story. Cass Sunstein, I think that was his name. He was the regulation czar during the Obama administration. I remember when he testified before the Small Business Committee. And this gentleman actually said that when you increase regulations and make more regulations, it helps to grow the economy. And, look, I'm just a dumb paratrooper. I used to jump out of airplanes, shoot at bad guys when I was in the Army. And so I had to ask him, how do you come up with increased regulations grows the economy? He said, because you have to hire more people to enforce the regulations. That's the mindset of some people in the business, in the government sector, the public sector. And so you have to have those voices with the small businesses to say, look, big corporations can deal with all these regulations. They have huge legal departments. Banks can have huge financial compliance departments. Small businesses don't have that. And that is another thing that is causing a lot of these small businesses to go under. It's so funny you mentioned Cass Sunstein. He wrote a book called Nudge. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but I actually bought it. I have it on my bookshelf over here. I like to buy things with people I know I'm going to disagree with, just so I can know the full breadth of their lunacy. And it's basically what you said. It's almost like hiring, 80,000 IRS agents. That's going to supposedly help the tax situation. It doesn't make any sense. So. Well, we're going to transition. We'll take a next commercial break here. I want to show love to our amazing sponsors. Colonel West, thank you for being on this segment. When we come back in, we'll jump in more detail to our topic, specifically how to build partnerships together. And I look forward to hearing your thoughts on that as after we break. So stick around. We'll be right back on the community.
And now a word from a few of our amazing sponsors that make the Difference Radio, live stream, and podcast network possible.
Frisco Fighters prepare to reach new heights at Comerica Center this spring. From competitive matchups to exciting theme nights, you won't want to miss a second of the action. Join us and experience high-scoring, hard-hitting indoor football that's fun for the whole family to enjoy. Visit FriscoFighters.com for game highlights, tickets, or to reserve your spot at the Tarmac Tailgate Party.
Everyone deserves access to affordable health insurance, but with traditional insurance, costs can be high and getting coverage can be complicated. JP Direct Health is a simpler, more affordable way to get the health coverage you need. With plans for individuals, families, and small businesses, you can save money on monthly premiums without the need for physicals. At jpdirecthealth.com, we specialize in customizing coverage to fit almost every budget with affordable PPO plans and many other benefits. With over 100 5-star Google reviews, JP Direct Health is a trusted resource making health insurance affordable and accessible for everyone year-round. Affordable health insurance solutions are a proactive protection, not a reactive solution. Visit jpdirecthealth.com today and see how much you can save.
I'm always here to help. Thank you.
Enjoy DFW's most fun, affordable night out and catch the Rough Riders, the AA affiliate of the Rangers, at beautiful Riders Field in Frisco. The Riders are back home July 9th through 14th. The weekend opens with First Responders Night presented by Peak Roofing and Construction on July 12th, Texas Monthly Barbecue Night on the 13th, and Bluey Theme Day on the 14th. Get your tickets at ridersbaseball.com. The Frisco Rough Riders, the AA affiliates of your Texas Rangers.
Are you or someone you know pregnant or planning to conceive? Caitlin Smith is both a certified childbirth doula and instructor offering childbirth classes to couples wanting an unmedicated, physiological birth outside of the hospital setting. Caitlin has served the local community since 2021 and specializes in working closely with midwives, all while best supporting a mother's physical body, her partner, and the birth environment. You can contact Caitlin through Instagram at thismamadoula or email her at caitlinsmithdoula@gmail.com to learn more about childbirth classes or her doula services.
Are you looking to buy a home? The process can be daunting, but it doesn't have to be. With the help of a qualified loan officer like Paul Fisher, you can get the financing you need and get into your dream home. Paul Fisher, a direct local lender with Certainty Home Lending, has many years of experience helping people buy homes. He's knowledgeable, experienced, and he'll work with you to find the best loan for your needs. Contact Paul Fisher today to get started on your home buying journey. He'll help you every step of the way, so you can relax and focus on finding your dream home. Visit www.loansbyfisher.com or call 817-308-7361 to schedule a consultation with Paul. MLS number 2018111.
Now back to the show.
Welcome back. I'm really excited for our next segment as we really dive deeper into our topic this month, going beyond referrals. Small business owners, we can get kind of in that referral trap where we're looking for the next immediate referral, the next partnership, et cetera, but not really developing more deeply a pipeline of connectivity, right? And so in doing that, I think what we want to talk about specifically is creating unique value propositions, number one, but then also being able to share resources for rapid growth. We actually touched on a couple of those things in our What's Up Plano segment. Dave, I want to start with you. As the commander of the American Legion, you have seen the importance of community service firsthand. Obviously, a lot of what you guys do is a very a big staple in the community. How do partnerships with local businesses, organizations kind of help further the Legion's mission to better serve veterans in the community? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, the American Legion, obviously, we are very dependent on donations and everything to support the programs we do. To give you an example of one of the programs we support is called Boys State, where we send high school kids between their junior and senior year down to Austin for a week where they learn about city, county, and state government so that they have an understanding of how our government works. But to send them for a week, that costs a little over $400 per student. So the community that kick in and help us cover the cost of this is very important for us to be able to do these type of programs.
So, is that something that goes on pretty regularly?
It's a once a year deal.
Okay.
Every June we send a group of kids down there. Our post this year, we were able to send 12 young men down to Austin, and we got a couple emails from a couple of the kids, and it was really nice to hear how this program, the effect it had on them, the positive effect it had on them, understanding how our government works, and what kind of helped. A couple of them said, because of this, I'm looking to run for office when I get older. So
that's amazing. So so that's obviously given a lot more visibility to the Legion, which is something that I think we talked about this at our happy hour when you and I connected. Kind of unfortunately, and this is a way to mitigate that. It's been kind of waning what in the eyes of the public, the value of the American Legion and what it's been doing for our veterans. So this is, I guess, a positive way of bringing that back into the collective attention of the community. Would you agree with that?
Yes, definitely. It's one of the things that gets the American Legion name out across all the high schools that we go to get these young men. So it gets the American Legion name out there. I just took over as commander this May. In the past, my understanding was we used to get plenty of donations from the community. Those seem to have dried up due to the economy. COVID definitely didn't help with things. So, we struggle at times to raise enough funds to cover all the bills we have, let alone fund the programs we want to do for our veterans and, the community at large. In August, we're bringing the veterans from the Bonham Hospital and from the VA hospital down here in Dallas up to the post to serve them lunch. It costs money to serve lunch to our fellow vets, but it's something that we do to help them, get them out away from the hospitals, get them out into the community again, and help them, with their recovery. But again, it's funding to do these things.
Well, Dave, you and I talked a couple of weeks ago about how do we communicate this to our community? Because a lot of people don't even know about the American Legion post.
Right. And that's, you and I we're going to get together and work on this. And this is one of the things I appreciate the invite to come on to this podcast to get the American Legion out there to the community. Because we need the community support to be an effective organization.
Absolutely. Well, I just think that creating that sense of unity with local business owners, because we have so many new businesses within Plano. And if you look just at downtown Plano, it's massive how many new businesses have popped up. So I believe with our efforts, as Colonel West says, just get in there and get the swagger back. Get the swagger back. Show the local business owners who we are in Texas and what that means to support our veterans that give us the freedoms to do exactly what we're doing right here this morning on the Community Difference.
Exactly. And that's one of my goals as commander, is to reach back out to the community more. Go out and talk to them. Invite them to the post. See what we do. And, if you want to help us out, we'd love if you could, step in and help us.
Yeah, because communication is a huge part of getting the message out, of finding the right strategic partnerships. I know one of the things that a lot of businesses do is they come together and they create these workshops. Now, you're not necessarily a business in the traditional sense, but as far as partnering with other businesses, you can still find commonality to create workshops that people can come to and learn more about this business, and then learn more about the Legion and the partnership that you guys have together. And that's going to elevate each of yours vision within the community. I want to go to Jennifer, if I can. I know with Credit the Cause, you're all about strategic partnerships. Talk about, if you can, a way that a partnership that you've created not only helps your, the financial performance, obviously, of you and the businesses, but more significantly contributed to a charitable cause of some sort, and what made that partnership successful.
Sure. So one thing I've been leaning into for the last few years is strategic partnerships between charities, businesses, and consumers that are win-win-win, so that businesses can either grow or use expenses to give back to charities, and consumers can tap into that as well. So Credit the Cause is a result of that initiative that I've been putting in, and effectively through connecting with some pretty serious fundraising powerhouses, they needed a platform with which to create passive fundraising for the charities that they supported. So I plugged them in with a partner I have here locally that's a payment processing company. And we created Credit the Cause, where when businesses plug in to our payment processing solution, we then donate 40% of the revenues that we get to the charity that the business chooses. So now we can turn the cost of doing business into purposeful giving, right? Because they have to pay the credit card processing fees one way or another, but now part of that fee can go toward a charity that they want to support. So it's really been able to not just help the charities, but help the businesses, because as Diane really promotes a lot, is cause marketing is becoming more and more relevant. It's that social responsibility. And now we're giving our small businesses a way to plug into that at no cost to them. So it's really that win-win-win. And we create marketing materials for the charities and for the businesses to use so that consumers know that when they patron, that restaurant or whoever it is, that they're actually giving back as well and plugging into that. So
yeah, I like that a lot. Colonel West, you've been in a lot of partnerships in your life where you're relying on someone else, whether it be in the military, in Congress, obviously in your role now. What do you think are the key elements of building trust and fostering collaboration between different organizations aiming to kind of create a new opportunity together?
Well, I think it's important that you find those common threads. One of the things that I think would be very helpful, between the business community and the American Legion there with Dave, why don't you have a veterans hiring fair at the American Legion? And you can bring the small businesses in and you can show off the American Legion Post. You can explain to people what the American Legion Post is. And I think one of the things that has to happen now, we got a new generation of veterans that aren't even aware of what the American Legion is and what they do. And what better way to bring a lot of these young veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan and other, deployments in and tie them with the business community. And also the business community can connect with the veterans community, not just for, the purposes of hiring or jobs and things of that nature, but also just, understanding that these are the people that put their lives on the line so that you can have this business. So I think that that's one of the great things we have to do is find that common bond. We should not have homeless and jobless veterans, folks. I mean, to me, that is unconscionable. And I'm sure Dave is very aware of the statistic where we're losing some 20 to 21 veterans a day to suicide because they feel that their country has turned their backs upon them. And I'll be very honest, this is not a political statement, but when you see people come here illegally and they're getting debit cards, they're getting free healthcare and all these things, and our veterans are getting the Heisman, that does affect their mentality. That does affect their psyche. So I think that that's one of the great things that could happen up there in Plano is that you could get with the American Legion and have a jobs fair right there and bring the two communities together, the veterans community and the small business community.
That's amazing. And it's all about sharing resources, right?
Correct.
I mean, the whole thing that we've talked about, every single one of us, is sharing resources. And so how do we get stronger? Well, we share our strengths and we help others with weaknesses, right? And I always like to say, be the 411, be the 411 in your community. Be that first person. I felt like I was a 411 operator for decades. Everybody would call me for things. And I thought it was a burden for the longest time. It's like, I'm not your 411. Pick up whatever you need to pick up, but I'm not your administrative assistant. But then my thought process changed and I said, oh my gosh, to be a master connector, to be a master connector, to be the one person that comes to somebody's mind. I think that's what I want to stress. Right. Be the person that comes to the mind of anybody that needs something. And that is what is going to change our world. That's what's going to change our communities. I truly believe that.
Yep. No, I agree. It's the same thing I do with all of my families. My motto at the end, after I introduce all the things that I can do and ways that I can help, and I let them know about my vast list of resources, I always tell them to Google me before they Google Google. Because my resources are local, trusted, I use them, and they're the small businesses. So, yep, I agree. That's definitely the way we keep focusing.
Well, Dave, I hope. Oh, you're going to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's the third Tuesday of every month at the Post. We host the Collin County Veterans Coalition, which is a group of veteran business owners at the Post for a luncheon and a discussion. I think I plan on attending this month and bringing up this idea of let's get a job fair organized and get some people out here, get our veterans in here and find them jobs.
Well, I don't know if you're following our private chat, but we basically just committed to helping you do that. So we'll credit Colonel West with the idea, and then we'll make it happen.
Hey, leaders never take credit; they only take responsibility. That's a lesson that I learned.
Well, that's good.
You're giving us lots of little nugget phrases to walk away with today, Colonel. Thank you.
All nuggets, not big nuggets.
Well, guys, we're going to go to break. When we come back, we'll dive in a little deeper with our guests and just get to know them on a personal level. And so stick around as we show a little love to our amazing sponsors. I will say this. You saw in the previous break our great partnership with the Frisco Fighters. We're going to be having our first Community Difference Business Development Alliance, which is the non-podcast extension of our network and business development group on July the 27th at 9:30 a.m. at the Choctaw Club. Really nice. You can see the picture of it right there. So it doesn't cost anything. You just show up, come hang out with us, come meet us. The Frisco Fighters will also be playing their last home game. They made the playoffs. Their last home game this Saturday night at, I believe, 7 o'clock. So come check that out. We can give you some tickets. We have tickets. We won't charge you. They're free. Just come get to know us. Reach out to us in the comments or message anybody on the show. So stick around. We'll be right back on the Community Difference Plano.
And now a word from a few of our amazing sponsors that make the Difference Radio, live stream, and podcast network possible.
Hey Texans, hold on to your hats. The Mesquite Championship Rodeo, newest sponsor partner of the Community Difference shows, is back, bigger and better than ever. Witness the heart-pounding action as the best riders in the world compete for glory. Feel the thrill of the chase, the raw power of nature, and the unbreakable spirit of the West. Don't miss your chance to be part of the legend. Get your tickets now for the Mesquite Championship Rodeo or win yours free just for watching the Community Difference shows.
Are you searching for fast, reliable, and affordable heating and air solutions in the Wiley, Sac City, Murphy, Garland, Rowlett, Levon, Richardson, Plano, and Allen areas of Texas? Then look no further than Martin Heating and Air LLC. With over 15 years of experience, our team is dedicated to providing top-notch service tailored to your specific needs. Don't let a broken HVAC unit ruin your comfort. Call us today at 469-380-9864 or visit our website to schedule an appointment. Martin Heating and Air LLC, your trusted partner for all your heating and air conditioning needs.
Unwanted pests in your home can be stressful. From creepy crawlies to critters under the floorboards, they disrupt your peace of mind. But don't worry. All Pest Solutions is here to help. We offer a comprehensive range of safe and effective pest control solutions. We target all types of pests, big or small, including insects, rodents, and wildlife. All Pest Solutions, your local experts for a pest-free home. Breathe easy and enjoy your life again. Call today for a free quote. 972-442-1169 or email us at customerservice@allpestsolutions.com.
Buying a home? It should be an exciting time, not a stressful one. At Proven National Title, we understand that buyers want fast, reliable, transparent, seamless, convenient title and closing services. Therefore, our services are not limited to our office or yours. Let Jackie Tobar and all the fine folks at Proven National Title help make your dream of homeownership a reality. Call us today for a smooth and stress-free closing. Contact us at 972-752-8540 or email at jackie.tobar@provennationaltitle.com. Proven National Title. Give me one and I'll earn the rest.
To belong is one of our most basic human needs. Best Buddies International is the world's largest organization dedicated to ending the social isolation of 200 million individuals who have intellectual and developmental disabilities. We focus on meaningful one-to-one friendships, integrated employment, leadership development, and inclusive living. You have the power to make an impact, create change, and champion our mission of inclusion today.
And now, back to the show.
Welcome back alongside Diane Cassell and Traci Duff, our amazing guests, Dave Sweeney, Jennifer Verma, and of course, Colonel Alan West. Jennifer, I want to start with you I want to get to know you a little bit more and just jump right into a question that I've asked a lot of our guests, but I really enjoy this because I think it speaks to your passion. But how do you feel, what defines success in your role? You say, hey, I'm making a difference. I'm doing what I need to do. How do you know when that's happening?
It's really when I'm helping other people achieve their objectives.
Okay.
I know I'm successful because I too am a connector, a master connector, and serving people is really what's on my heart. So whatever their objectives are and whatever they're asking from me, if I can meet that objective, I feel like I'm being successful.
And so that happens because you're obviously meeting with people day to day, multiple connections, interactions. So you get to see that coming into fruition quite frequently, which I imagine feels pretty good.
Yes, it does. I mean, as an example, I have a person I run within a tax strategy space connect me to someone on a fundraising solution that I was able to connect to a person I talked to a year prior. And now their business is scaling like crazy just because I was like, you know what, I think you need to talk to Dave. It was one of those, and it's just, it does feel really nice to be able to help those people reach their objectives just through all the relationships I have and the ability to identify when people can help each other and when I can help others.
Dave, same question to you. How do you define success in your role with the Legion?
Well, keeping the doors open would be one thing.
Just very basic. Bottom line success. Okay. Start small. That's good.
Yeah. Just keeping our commitment to the community, doing the things we need to do to help our fellow veterans. And also we help out in the community. We also have a group, American Legion Riders, is one of the entities of the American Legion. And I've actually been the director of that pretty much since 2011. And, like as the riders, we've gone over to Minnie's Food Pantry, packed boxes. We've made donations to them. I think anytime you can do something to help the veterans, help the community, you're being successful.
Yeah, I think, and you may be able to define it in more detail once we do this job fair. So that'll be helpful for you. Colonel West, obviously you've had a number of different roles and posts in your life, now serving as the GOP County Chair for Dallas, a recent appointed position there, or voted position, I should say, elected. How do you, kind of day to day, how do you see success in that role as you move throughout that tenure?
Well, I have to echo exactly what Jennifer was talking about. I give you a great case in point. It was a couple of years ago, got invited back down to Fort Hood, Texas, because one of my former cadets, when I taught ROTC back in 1991 at Kansas State University, he was a 2-star general. He was taking over command of the 1st Cavalry Division. So you're sitting in the stands, you're watching someone that went from a college cadet to being a 2-star general, and now he's going to pick up his 3rd star. That's how you define success. Or just last month, I had the incredible experience and opportunity to go back to Normandy for the 80th anniversary of D-Day. And another one of my former cadets was on the C-47 aircraft, and we did 2 parachute jumps into Normandy. And the last thing I got to do was to promote him and read him his oath to become a lieutenant colonel in the United States Army Reserves. And so here was a kid that back in 1992, again, he was one of my cadets. So leadership and what we do in life is not about what we achieve and what we accomplish, is what we enable others to achieve and accomplish.
I love that. Go, were you going to say something, Tracy? Sorry.
Well said.
Oh, okay. Well, Jennifer, back to you. And we've talked about this a little bit, but just to small businesses looking, or really citizens or small businesses looking to get involved locally, what would be your advice on just the very first step?
Get involved locally in giving back, or
just being involved in their community in general, just knowing what's going. Because I think a lot. Colonel West touched on this about we have all the tools to be involved politically, locally in business, to know what's going on. And a lot of times as citizens or businesses, we're not taking advantage of those things. So what would you say, hey, if you want to, how do I get out there? How do I get known? What's the first thing you would recommend?
I think we would all say this in this group: networking, build relationships with other people within your community. And that is the first step, because once you have those relationships, now you're plugged in and you can start to proliferate that.
Tracy, a little lighter question, and I want to hear from Dave as well on this. But you're in the Plano community. Obviously, we can stretch that to Collin County and even just North Texas in general. But aside of loving to live in Texas, for those of us that are born and raised here, what is your favorite thing about the Plano community? About Collin County, just what you enjoy outside of your work in assisted living.
Yeah. When we first moved here 30 plus years ago, the tollway ended at Frankfurt, where I live. So Plano and everything was really little at that time in comparison. But as big as we've grown and as grand as we're growing, we're still the little community. We still have the downtown Plano and the feel of community. All of our people, our neighbors, I don't feel that we're in some giant metropolitan area that we're scaling on. Frisco is bordering us now and growing, but we're still very, very down to earth and very community oriented. And I love that. That is probably the biggest piece for me.
Well, Colonel West, I'd like to ask you the same question, as we wrap up this segment. Outside of your work with the GOP and everything that you've committed there, just when you get to take a moment to breathe and relax, what do you enjoy about the community, Garland, Plano, Dallas, whatever, that you just, hey, I'm glad I'm here doing whatever?
Well, I think, and echoing what Tracy said, is that sense of community. I live here in Garland, and I'm just right there touching Lake Ray Hubbard, and the community aspect here. Everyone looks out for themselves, each other. The neighborhood watch we have, and being able to go to, like you said, just the same as in Plano downtown, the little downtown that we have here in Garland, and they have the nice little park down where you can take the kids and they can enjoy themselves and they can make friends and what have you, or the little Eastern Hills playground that we have here where you can take my little grandsons up there and they can play and they can goof off. So it is that sense of community, that is still that sense of looking out for each other. And I think that you lose that when you get to some of these larger cities. But out here in these smaller communities that surround the bigger cities, I think you still have that basic foundation.
Do they still have the Garland Opry in downtown?
I don't know if they still have the Garland Opry. I know that there's a theater down there that shows old movies and what have you. I don't know if it's an Opry. I don't get a lot of free time, but when I do, I try to spend it mostly with the grandson and whatever my wife tells me to do. She always has a list of honeydews.
Smart man.
Yeah. That might be the wisest thing you've said all day on the show. I'm not sure.
Hey, man, you got it. Bite the apple. Yes, ma'am.
Well, guys, let's go to break. Our final break. When we come back, we'll do a few fun rapid fire questions and we'll get everybody's wrap up before we end the show. So stick around. We'll be right back.
At the Community Difference Business Development Alliance, powered by the Difference Media LLC, our mission is to empower small business owners by transcending acceptable behaviors and outcomes into exceptional realms. We foster a culture of self-awareness, accountability, and proactive engagement, guiding individuals to recognize and overcome indifference towards transformative actions, habits, behaviors, and processes driving meaningful change. Through strategic networking, impactful content creation, and innovative top-of-mind strategies, we cultivate brand relevance and differentiation, enabling our partners and the Difference community to stand out in crowded markets. With a focus on building authentic connections, amplifying brand presence, and driving sustainable growth, we equip entrepreneurs with the tools and mindset to navigate the complexities of entrepreneurship with confidence, innovation, and resilience. Together, we aim to be the catalyst for difference makers, propelling them towards their highest potential and leaving a lasting impact on their businesses and communities. That's where our community podcasts come in. These podcasts lie directly at the intersection of innovative business development and community involvement, helping to bridge the gap between small business obscurity often seen in our communities. The community-based podcasts called the Community Difference Series are an integral part of integrating all facets of modern business development into a package of great content, positive impact branding, and top-of-mind presence, thus fulfilling the greater mission we set forth. When we set out to be difference makers, we can learn to make a difference and find the success and impact innately desired by all business owners and entrepreneurs. We are difference makers.
Are you ready? Rapid fire.
All right, our rapid fire segment, just a couple of quick fun questions before we wrap up the show. The rules are just answer kind of first thing that comes to mind. No long, novel explanation. If we find it super interesting, we might come back to you. So we'll start here. If you could instantly become an expert in one subject, what would it be and why? We'll start with Diane.
World history.
Why?
Why? Because I didn't do too good at that job in school. And I realized what a shortcoming it was for me when I became an adult and a business person out in the world, because it gives you the power. Knowledge gives you power. And to know about our history is to keep our history.
100%. Tracy.
I'm going to have to say Alzheimer's dementia. With my last few years in Plano here, doing what I do with my seniors, that is much needed, and I learn something new every day from my clients and my families through it. So I'd like to know more on the other side.
Love it. Jennifer.
Law.
Okay. Why?
I've always been I'm a social justice girl, and I've always had a desire to practice law for people who can't really afford to help themselves. So that's kind of something on my bucket list down the road. But if I could learn it instantaneously, that'd be fantastic.
Well, good luck with that. That's quite a lot of information there. Dave.
I'll probably get in trouble for this, but I'm going to say how the female mind works.
Good luck with that. Colonel West is telling you, don't go there.
Lyndon, I think we should end the show right there. Maybe that's
Dave, I'm not sure anybody knows how that works.
No.
Oh,
I got him off the hook. Do you?
Thank you.
Colonel West, what about you?
I'm going to be completely superficial. I would like to be an expert at college football defensive signal calling so that I can help my Tennessee Volunteers win a college football national championship.
There you go.
Very nice.
Hey, when was the last time they won? Has it been a long?
No, it was 1996, 97.
They won right before Peyton got there, like a couple years before.
Oh, they won after Peyton.
Yeah.
So they won
after Peyton Manning. Yeah. It was the very first BCS bowl.
Okay.
Colonel West, you could be a Razorback fan, and that's 1964. So I'm still hurting.
Oh man, yeah. And, Tennessee plays Arkansas this year up there in Fayetteville. Yep.
Well, I'm a Gator fan, so don't.
Oh, I can't talk to you. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm leaving the studio.
Well, it's funny. It's because I'm from Texas, but I got a ton of family. That was my first college football exposure. So everybody's like, "Why?" I'm like, "I don't know. That's just who I." At least we're all SEC. We can have that commonality.
My grandfather, when he was alive, was the oldest living football player for the Gators. So he used to go to the games and get recognized. And all of our Christmas gifts were Gator paraphernalia. I grew up a Gator for sure.
Well, as an Irish Catholic kid, I'm Notre Dame.
Well, that's okay. That's all right. So for me, back on topic, we got distracted from on college football. Instantly become good at one subject. For me, it'd probably be, this is gonna be weird, but biblical manuscripts, ancient languages. That's a big passion of mine. Understanding the translation of the scriptures, and going back to the original manuscripts, I think would be really fascinating. Last question.
There's a place in Plano at the Hope Center. I used to be the CEO there, and at the Hope Center they do translations of the old manuscripts. So go by and check them out.
The Hope Center.
The Hope Center.
Where is that?
It is right there off of George Bush Turnpike. It's that big, huge, and Custer Parkway.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I will check that out. Thank you. That's fantastic. That's awesome. All right, last question before we do wrap-ups. I think this will be, I'm going to start with you, Colonel West. I can't wait to hear your answer. If you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be and what would you ask them?
I would have dinner with Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain, the hero of Little Round Top of the second day of the Battle of Gettysburg, and ask him, how did he find the courage to lead that bayonet charge? Because he was just a professor at Bowdoin College, Maine. He was not a trained military officer.
I love that. That's awesome. Diane.
I'm going to say Martin Luther King. And ask him, how did he possibly maintain the positivity? I know it was through his faith in God, but how did he maintain the positivity in such a violent world that we had then at that time?
Tracy.
Okay, I'm going to go a little bit off here. I know that surprises all of you, but she is historical. I'm going to say Betty White, because I want to know how you get to almost 100 and live the way she lived.
It's a good question. Jennifer.
Mahatma Gandhi.
Okay.
I want to understand what he perceived his biggest challenge was in his life.
Okay, that would be fascinating. Dave?
I'd love to sit down with Abraham Lincoln. His thought process on how he kept this country together during a very turbulent time.
Man, that would be fantastic. Well, guys, thank you so much. Thank you to Dave. Thank you to Jennifer. And, of course, thank you to Colonel Alan West. Let's put 45 seconds on the clock, and let's get our wrap up. Dave, just talk about what you enjoyed most about today and what you're excited about looking forward as we wrap up here.
Well, I was very appreciative to be on here, get a chance to talk about the American Legion. I don't think I can promote it enough. It's been very good to me over the years and helped me, reconnect kind of with my military roots. And now it's a chance for me to continue to serve and help our fellow veterans.
I love that. And thank you, Dave. I look forward to what we're going to be able to do in partnership together. Jennifer, wrap us up. 45 seconds to you.
I just really enjoyed Colonel West. You're fascinating. It was fascinating listening to you. I was texting Diane on one of the breaks. I'm like, he's absolutely amazing. I'd love to have dinner with him sometime.
Well, we will.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Tracy.
Yes, ditto. Honored to be on this panel with you today, Colonel West. I loved hearing you speak and all of your points. And bringing the community together is a big thing for me. I'm that small town, kind of keep us all connected. So, yeah, I'll be at the meetings.
Diane?
Well, again, I have to tie it up with a bow and say I don't believe in any consequences or accidents. I believe that God has us exactly where he wants us. And it was my lucky day to be on the show today with all of you, including Colonel West, to have the opportunity to hear what's behind the man, the legend. And I really believe it's all about community is attracting like-minded partners and changing this country and getting back.
Get our swagger.
Get your swagger back. Come on now. Come on.
She's got to rub off on everybody.
That's the biggest takeaway is Texans have to get their swagger back today. I love that.
We're on a mission.
Colonel West, 45 seconds to you, sir.
What a great honor to be with each and every one of you. It's always fantastic to share thoughts, perspectives, and insights with my fellow Texans and Americans. And I look forward to, Nathan, let's all get together and sit down and break bread somewhere. And Dave, I look forward to being up there at your American Legion post. I used to be an American Legion rider until someone knocked me off my motorcycle 4 years ago when I was going 75 miles an hour. And that hurt. So no more motorcycle riding for the old Colonel. But thank you all for allowing me to share with you. And like I said, I look forward to seeing you all in person.
Well, thank you, Colonel West. Thank you to Dave. Thank you to Jennifer. Also, thank you to our sponsor of the What's Up Plano segment and our show today, Voodoo Brewery. We're going to be having our next happy hour there, July 25th, Thursday at 5 p.m. If you're looking for a fantastic spot to unwind, grab a delicious craft beer, or support a local business, imagine that, right? Look no further than Voodoo Brewery. They're not your typical chain. This Voodoo Brewery is locally owned and operated, so you're giving back to the community when you visit. They have a huge selection of craft beers, including some very unique names like the Lacto Cooler, I'm a Loner Dottie, a Rebel. What a crazy beer name, right? And Where Our Secrets Go. I've had a couple of those. They're fantastic. They also have a wide variety of other beers, delicious pub fare, and a family-friendly atmosphere. So when you're in downtown Plano, swing by Voodoo Brewery, tell them you heard about them on the Community Difference. When you do, they'll give you 20% off your first beer, and we're excited to partner with them. Guys, thank you so much. Just thoroughly enjoyed the conversation today, and we'll take you up on that breaking bread, Colonel. We'd love to continue the conversation and look forward to meeting you in person here soon. So thank you to Jennifer. Thank you to Dave. Thank you to Colonel West, of course, our amazing co-hosts, Diane and Tracy. You guys have a blessed week. We'll see you back here as we continue our topic next week. Have a great day.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you for watching today's show.
The Community Difference Plano is made possible by Nathan Smith with the Enfuego Group, Diane Cassell with Castle to Castle, connecting charities to fundraising solutions, Jim Thomas, business consultant and business funding expert, Tyler Clifton with Jay Galt, Traci Duff with Assisted Living Locators, Asiya Mahmood with Windhaven Academy, Lauren Gill with My Lid Love Travel, Scott Johnson with Fireboss Realty, and by Jacqueline Kreider with PBJ Mortgage. The Community Difference Plano. Together, we can make the difference.